Chapter 2, the East Philosophy. The East Philosophy is centered around these four things that you see here. It says students should, can, and will take responsibility for their own learning. Students should be actively engaged in solving problems. Students should be given access to relevant and challenging resources and tools to use in solving these problems. Students should be allowed, even required, to collaborate with each other and with professionals in their communities as they grow and become positive agents of change. So, just to summarize, you are responsible for your learning. That is true in every class, nothing unique there. But in East, it's especially true because we don't have a particular curriculum. We don't have tests. We don't have quizzes. We depend upon you to come in every day and know what it is you need to get done with respect to your particular project. Of course, we want you to be actively engaged in your problem solving. We also provide you with the relevant resources and tools. If you look around the classroom, you'll see we have a lot of those things that you can use and a lot of software that you can use that you can't get in a lot of other places, in a lot of other school programs. And the last thing, which is by no means the least important, is that you will collaborate with other people. In most of your other classes, you tend just to be by yourself, doing your own work, turning in your own assignments. And in East, you will be working mostly with other people. So that's something that a lot of people have to get used to. East equals project-based learning. That is what we are. That is what we do. So never forget that. Project-based learning is messy, but then again, so is real life. You will need grit. One of the biggest challenges for a lot of students in East is when they're working on their projects and they encounter setbacks or complications or things not working out exactly the way they thought. A lot of times when you are working on a project, you will encounter problems that you never thought you would, and you have to figure out a workaround to keep the project on track. So be prepared for that. Project-based learning is messy, but it helps you with your problem-solving skills, and it will help you through life as well. This is basically the diagram of how an East classroom functions. You see three major things there. You see facilitator, student, and project. All of these have their role. As you can tell, facilitator guides, coaches, and encourages. I'm not here to do your project. I will help in every way I can. I will, if you are having difficulties with the computer working, we'll troubleshoot that. I am a sounding board for you to bounce ideas off of, all of those sorts of things. But do not expect me to jump in and do your project for you. That is not how this works. The student, or I should say group of students, exercises these functions. They plan, they carry out, they evaluate, they report, they problem solve, and they collaborate together. Not only with the facilitator, but with the project. You have to plan your project, you have to carry it out, you have to evaluate it. You will also report to me what's going on, what problems you're encountering, and you'll have to work with others as well. The project is simply a learning opportunity, and it provides problems for you to solve. East is very much like real life. You have to be able to carry out all of these sorts of functions if you're going to be successful in your real life job. This diagram shows you the way in which a East project typically evolves. You see on the left there, it says forming. So you form a group, and once the group is formed, you begin to storm. Now you see the dotted line there, and it shows basically the efficiency of the group. And when you're storming, you're not super efficient at that particular point. All right. But as you storm, you begin to normalize. That is, things, ideas come about that people agree upon, and they will act upon, and people start to develop a picture of what their project is going to be and how it's going to be carried out. After you figure out the big picture, the norming phase, then the performing of the project, that is the actual task of developing the project, doing things that need to be done to achieve the project, start to happen. And then at the very end, everyone is acting as one team, and things really get going at that point. So this is just kind of the development of a project or development of a team, really. And it is very insightful as to what you can expect. This diagram shows the software wheel, and these are, of course, in the classroom, and they show you a lot of the different types of software that we have access to. Now, we do not have all of these. Many of these softwares require us to buy a license, and we don't have a license for all of them, but we do have a license for many. This is the hardware wheel. Again, we have many of these hardware items. That is the computers, the cameras, those sorts of things. And it's broken down by category there that you see in the center part of the wheel. And we do have many of these things, but we don't have necessarily everything. This diagram shows a contrast between traditional classroom instruction and the project method of instruction. And you see the different levels there. In the traditional classroom, the one that you are most used to, it is primarily you come into it remembering information from past classes. The information given to you is extrinsic, which means it comes to you from an outside source. That is usually the teacher. As you see right there, it says teacher driven. The teacher is the one who moves the class along in the process. It is content based. If you are in math, you have a curriculum, and certain mathematics concepts and skills are taught to you, and it's fairly predictable. Before you can do multiplication and division, you must understand addition and subtraction, and those skills develop over time. On the project side, however, you kind of enter not at the basic level of remembering previous information, but rather at the application level. You have a project in front of you, and you start to apply stuff that you may not fully understand just yet. So that is a unique aspect about the project method. It is intrinsic learning. That is, someone is not telling you how to do this sort of stuff. You are figuring it out as you go. And it's one of those deals where you will be making, 2 steps forward and then maybe a step or 2 backwards, and you repeat that process on and off throughout the project. It is learner driven. That is the information that you are learning, the skills that you are developing. It is something that you produce by your own, efforts and learning that you've done. It is problem-based. That is, your learning is based on solving a particular problem, not just learning certain facts fact one, fact two, etc. It's about looking at a situation and looking at all the different variables involved and how to solve the problem and deal with all those different variables. And of course, all of that leads to the fact that it is a messy style of learning. It is something that you have to get used to.